Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Got another deck profile for you guys today. So I just got home and actually got a chance to look at the new ban list that just dropped today. Well, there were some hits that I was expecting, some that I wasn't. And the one I did expect the most was Dark Matter Dragon, which is now banned starting next Monday. So here's a deck profile list to pretty much just get y'all prepared for the May 2019 format, since we're pretty much at the end of April at this point. So yeah, so let me go and show you what I got this time around. Alright, so I decided to go back and change my strategy entirely. Now that Dark Matter's gone, the Amorphage Goliath with Arcbreak Dragon combo is a lot less consistent now. But that being said, Blue Eyes itself can still do quite a bit. So starting off, of course, gotta play 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. This is the heart and soul in the entire deck. It's a normal monster, so Sky Strikers cannot touch this with Widow Anchor, so really amazing card. 3 alternatives, another Blue Eyes, that's a free summon, just reveal 1 Blue Eyes to special summon this card. 2 Dragon Spirit of White now, well rather again, because again, Arcbrave and Morphage are not as consistent anymore, but this card's just really good because it banishes back row, and against certain matchups, it's better just to banish the back row rather than just pop it. But yeah. Dragon Spirit White is really good. I always like to use this against Dracos because Dracos have their additional benefits where they can punish you if you pop their cards, but if you banish them, they can't resolve those effects. Next up, 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. This searches out all your level 1 light attribute tuners, even Effect Veiler, which is a hand trap, so Sage with Eyes of Blue, very necessary, and his effect is that you can also discard him from your hand, target 1 effect monster you control, and send it to the graveyard and special summon the Blue Eyes, so just a good way to keep things rolling. 3 White Stone of Ancients rather than 2 I had before. I could always bump it back down to 2 if I wanted to and just go with 2 of those and then 1 Maiden, but I think 3 is fine. I just want to test it out as much as I can, and if depending on how this works out, I might put back Maiden or not, so it just really depends on how this goes. White Stone of Legend, though, definitely an amazing card. It's a good way to bait out Ash Blossoms because it goes very well with Melody of the Awakening Dragon, so if they ash that, this card will still trigger and you'll still get a Blue Eyes White Dragon. 1 Glow Bulb. I'm playing the Cloudcastle strategy now, so, and I'll get to that momentarily, but Glow Bulb just helps me get into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon faster, and it's just very consistent for the deck, so yeah. For hand traps, playing 6. Playing 2 Ash Blossom, which is just generically good. 2 Ghost Ogres, which is crazy good in this format, especially now that Endymion Pendulum exists. Like, most people are kind of confused, like, what do you hit with that against that deck? I know against Servant of Endymion, you either want to hit with Ash Blossom or with Ghost Ogre. But if my opinion is, like, always hit the Servant with Ash Blossom because they neg on their spell counters, and then with Ogre hit their Electromite. Or if you feel the need to really hit that Servant, then yeah, hit it with a Ogre. That way they can't really turbo out. Next up, 2 copies of Effect Veilers. I mentioned this card is searchable with Sage, so there's really no reason not to run it. So yeah. Moving on to spells already. 3 Melody, which searches out Alternative and Blue Eyes White Dragon. 3 Trade-ins, running quite a few level 8s, so it just helps us plus out. 3 Return of the Dragon Lords, the best revival card in this entire deck, and it also it gives you built-in protection for your dragons, so that's definitely necessary. 2 Called by the Grave, you definitely want to protect yourself from certain hand traps, so Called by the Grave definitely comes in handy. 2 Twin Twisters, against back row, this card really comes into clutch. You definitely want to discard your stones as quickly as you can, that we can get your free Blue Eyes out as quickly as you can. So Twin Twisters kind of acts as a 2 for 2, as well as a +1 in this build. So definitely important. For 1-ofs, 1 Silver's Cry, 1 for 1, Dragon Shrine, and of course Foolish Burial. And the only trap I'm running in this deck is Skill Drain. So Skill Drain definitely shuts down a lot of decks, and it'll definitely help you out and just steal games for you. Alright, so moving on to the extra deck, I'm playing the new Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. This card is amazingly good. Just requires 2 dragons during your opponent's turn. While this card is in the extra monster zone, quick effect, you contribute one monster from your hand or field, return one face-up card on the field to the hand. So this basically just acts as a emergency evacuation device, so a free form of disruption. And if this is the card that you trip, you can summon a dragon from your hand or deck, but its attack points become 0. So, which is good. Which you can technically run a Morphage Goliath this way, but the problem is like you don't have any Return of the Dragon Lords available in the grave. You can't really protect it, so that's the biggest flaw with that. But it's still definitely a good card you want to run because, again, free disruption, and it just helps you get out your blue eyes as quickly as you can. So, yeah. Next, just one Link Revo. And honestly, I think these are the only 2 links you're ever going to need. If you want to run a Make Room and make Hit Push In again, you can. Or Decode Talker. Those would be my only other recommendations. But moving on. Playing 2 copies of Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. I like to run 2 in case, like, if my opponent somehow disrupts my play and just called by the graves one of them, I at least have another one back as a backup for later. But it lets you special summon any light attribute synchro monster by tributing itself, so it's a tag out and the monster is in defense mode. But another good thing about it is that this card itself shuts down pendulum decks because it keeps them from special summoning 2 monsters at the same time. So Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, definitely a must-have. Next up, 1 copy of Azure Silver Dragon. Want to give your deck your dragon some more protection. Also revive some normal monsters during the standby phases of your turns. 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Another way to disrupt your opponent just by bouncing back one of their monsters. And also, you can go into Crystal Wing with this card because it's a level 7. So with that and Globe Bulb, you get Crystal Wing. Next up, Cloudcastle. I know this is becoming a popular card to be ran in Blue Eyes now because it helps get into True King of All Calamities. So if you already have a Blue Eye Spirit Dragon in the grave, you summon this out and then target 1 level 9 monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. Level 8 or lower monsters cannot attack the turn they are normal or special summon, but that's fine. And then from there, you just overlay both this and Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, and just go into True King of All Calamities and just shut down your opponent pretty much right there. 1 Twin Burst, Contact Fusion, so it doesn't require polymerization. 1 number 38 to negate spells. 1 Cypher Dragon. 1 Tachyon Dragon, which I really love. At the start of your battle phase, detach 1. Negate the effects of all face-up cards on the field except itself, and this card can attack twice. And if your opponent activates any effects, it just increases its attack points by another 1,000 points. 1 Philomir Photon, definitely good for spot removal, as well as Cypher Blade Dragon. And then lastly, 1 True King of All Calamities, which just shuts down your opponent's plays, by detaching 1 material, declare an attribute, and all face-up monsters on the field become that attribute, and any monsters your opponent summons becomes that attribute, and any monsters they possess of that attribute cannot activate their effects. So definitely busted. Alright, so moving on to the side deck now, playing 3 copies of Drone Lockbird. This is just good against certain builds, like anything that's danger related. You definitely don't want them to search out or add any more cards to their hand. 1 Book of Eclipse. I know Thunder Dragon, even though they got hit quite a bit on the ban list, they're still going to be very much playable, and you don't want Colossus to hurt you by any means or just suppress your plays. 3 Shared Ride. Just good against any search-heavy deck or decks that just like to replenish the resources, so Shared Ride definitely comes in handy. 3 Evenly Match, which I just got my last 2 copies that I needed, so I'm really happy that I have this now. So it's definitely a great way to just hurt your opponent just by... Basically, you're just punishing them for filling up their boards too much, so Evenly Matched definitely comes into clutch, but the problem is it just takes up your battle phase. But overall, definitely a great card. And then lastly, 3 Red Reboot. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. I got a lot of decks to update, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and I'll catch you guys again next time.